Thank you, Imtiaz, and you'll be refreshed to hear that Watergate, Berlin Wall, Vietnam means something to this 30-year-old. Now, Global Tolerance's strapline is communications with conscience. And what this means is a humanizing, heartfelt way of communicating from the heart. So now, in that spirit of communicating with conscience, I'd like to ask each of you, please, to share as much as you're willing to share from the heart about a personal anecdote of media and conflict, your experience of where media meets conflict. So if we start with you, Imtiaz. Sorry, this is Saima.
Thank you, Simon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And just very briefly, I would like to thank UNESCO and the government of Thailand and all the people who made this gathering possible for the second time. Since Simon says that we should share our hearts, you know, and how we utilize ICTs in terms of sharing our, you know, spirit in the furtherance of peace. I would like, and I talked with Simon about this, but I would like to share a very personal story of mine, and then reflect maybe in the question with regards to what my other ideas in terms of. I come here both as an academic, but also as a peace activist and a media practitioner. And when we were talking about the issue last night, I saw that conflict management as the title maybe is not reflective of what we are going through. Maybe it should be conflict resolution. And from, you know, as a Palestinian living under Israeli military occupation and now full-fledged apartheid system, we have a peace process. We have a peace process of 16 years, but without peace. So what we are facing actually is conflict management, but not conflict resolution. The personal story that I'd like to share is, I have went through the whole spectrum of Israeli oppression, from being shot in a student demonstration at the age of 15 in 1982, to being tortured in Israeli jails, to losing my mother, who was assassinated in October 2002 by Israeli death squads. I can't even call them Israeli Defense Forces, because it was a death squad style of assassination. But I had to resort to many ways in order to tell her story to the world, and in order to use you know, the internet and ICTs, maybe to help prevent other crimes against innocent people, innocent civilians in Palestine. We created a website for her memory called remembershaden.org. Her name is Shaden, and Shaden means a young gazelle, a beautiful gazelle. Remembershaden.org. And I can share my card with you and you can look at it. But in it, a friend of mine, you know, who's a French solidarity activist, came visit me in my house, and we were talking. He goes, "Can you share your story on video?" And I said, "Okay." And I just told the story of how she got assassinated. My friend is named Frank Barat, he's French. He went back and he took this video and he put it on YouTube, and he asked me first. I said, "Yes, you can share it." And then it went on social media, on you know, Facebook and so many other places. And now I actually took this same video and put it on my mom's website. To be honest with you, it really helped me personally, because every time people come and ask me about this tragic, my mom got killed and she died in my hands, and I got injured and my dad got injured in the same incident. And every time I told the story, I got depleted emotionally. And now I can ask people, "Can you please visit the website and listen to the story?" And it just helped me personally, not being depleted every time I tell the story. And of course, this has been shared across the board by many people who actually, you know, it's almost like a domino effect, a mushroom effect. People share their story, and now it became like a symbol of fighting oppression and really trying to expose the crimes. And just one note, because I think we need to continue the discussion. I believe the truth shall make you free, shall make me free, shall make us all free. And when we talk about peacemaking, I want to say it very important. Peacemaking does not mean that both sides should come and sit and dialogue. It means that we have to transcend the situation of victim and victimizer to a situation where there is no victim and victimizer. A lot of people come to us and say, but if both sides sit down together, if both sides can talk, as if, an oppressor and oppressed can sit down and talk about it and know each other, everything will be cool, everything will be fine. We have to address the root cause of the problems, and from that starting point, we can move forward. Otherwise, all what we're doing is just public relations stunts. And just last note about this, I was on a speaking tour just before I came here in Canada, and a friend of mine introduced me to a professor who's Jewish, a renowned professor of faculty in Miguel University, very nice man. And we sat and talked, and my friend shared with him the website of my mother. And he was deeply moved. And he said, you know what, my mom was killed on October 11, 2002. And he said, please, write it down and call it 10/11. Like September 11, 9/11. And he said, only in the United States we put the month before, like 9/11. And call it 10/11 and share your story. And one person's story can illuminate so many other stories. Thank you very much. I'll start with that.
Thank you. Peter, thank you.
Thanks very much for having me along to this. Thanks to the organisers. It's interesting, I think a lot of us are coming to the same conclusions from rather different origins. Which as you'll be perhaps pleased to know that on my own notes, I wrote down Gigo as well, because I think this is a central point, and this cuts to the very heart of the problem that we're all addressing here today. One of the problems with the internet, with the ICTs, is the unmoderated nature of the beast. We talk about viral text messages, we talk about viral messages, and I think it's worth just pondering for a moment the meaning of the word viral. We all have viruses, and viruses are not very good things. The messages are often very powerful, but if we end up with negative messages going unmoderated on networks like Twitter, like Facebook, like text messages, it becomes extraordinarily destructive. And the other thing that I think I agree with enormously with Imtiaz is the importance of good journalism. The problem we're faced with is the situation where in the past the access to media, not mass media, but just media, whatever form of media it was limited to a very small select group of individuals. And I know there's a lot of criticism about the concentration of media ownership, of the exclusivity of media. And those criticisms are justified, but we have exactly the opposite problem at the moment, where we have unmoderated access. And I think the challenge that we have to take note of is how to control or moderate the messages that are out there that are viral in such a way that they're positive rather than negative and destructive ones. And I think the example I wanted to touch on here was in Kenya. I've seen a little bit about Kenya and post-election violence. And what happened there was that as the messages start to flow through the Twitter network, through Facebook, and most importantly on text messages, we saw the idea of tribalism and tribal panic magnified. People were sending messages, a lot of it was complete rubbish, it was complete garbage, and it was enhancing, it was amplifying the tribal messages that were coming from the politicians who were hoping to use that tribal element to win political power. And it's only now, after many, many months, after more than a year of constant reporting, that we're starting to see a deeper analysis of what happened there and starting to understand, and as I've done, that the conflict was not about tribalism. It was about political power, it was about politicians using and pressing those tribal buttons. And we've seen a report that was released earlier this year, a special commission of inquiry that was investigating the causes of the violence. And it said very specifically that the violence was caused by individuals, and there are individual politicians who weren't named in the report. That's the subject of some judicial inquiries that are now to take place.